This is KWCH 12 Eyewitness News this morning.
Hey everyone, plan some extra travel time this morning. We are waking up to some thick fog and we want to keep you safe. Let's get to meteorologist Jake Dunn. Jake, how bad is visibility and when is this going to clear up? New this morning, the FDA is discussing whether or not to impose higher standards before giving a vaccine emergency use authorization. One option includes telling vaccine makers they need to wait 2 months after giving all their study participants second doses. Another scenario would have companies wait 60 days after giving half of their trial participants a second dose. Pfizer and Moderna began phase 3 clinical trials in July. Both companies have given second doses to less than half of their participants. An FDA spokeswoman says the agency plans to issue additional guidance but didn't give a specific timeline. The potential change by the FDA comes just one day after the U.S. hit a grim milestone, 200,000 COVID-19 deaths. This jaw-dropping number was reached less than 8 months after the first reported death. Here's a look at the timeline. The first death in the U.S. was reported on February 29th. 54 days later, the number climbed to 50,000. 29 days after that, 100,000 deaths in the U.S. Then on July 28th, the death toll reached 150,000, and another 55 days later, the U.S. hit 200,000. The nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says 200,000 deaths is mind-boggling.
Take a look at the numbers and make up your own mind. 200,000 deaths is really very sobering and in some respects stunning.
Health experts are worried about a resurgence of the virus this fall. To give you some perspective, here's how this compares to other major life events. The New York Medical Examiner's Office says 200,000 deaths is like having the 9/11 attacks every day for 66 days. COVID-19 is now the second leading cause of death in the U.S. behind heart disease. COVID-19 has killed more people in the U.S. than Americans killed in the 5 most recent wars combined. We're talking about the Korean War, Vietnam, Iraq War, the war in Afghanistan, and the Persian Gulf War. Health officials say if we want to avoid a twindemic, meaning mass flu and coronavirus hospitalizations, 3 things need to happen going forward. Wear masks when you can't social distance, avoid large crowds, and maintain proper hygiene. We're also following the pandemic's impact on schools in rural Kansas. Some districts are switching to remote learning due to outbreaks among students and staff. District officials tell Haley Tucker they're still adjusting, but the goal is to keep everyone safe and healthy. Today, the nation gets to say its final goodbyes to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Today and tomorrow, her body will lie in repose outside the Supreme Court. On Friday, Ginsburg will become the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. The first presidential debate of campaign 2020 is next Tuesday, and now we know what topics the candidates will discuss. The debate commission says the event will be broken up into 6 15-minute segments. Topics include the pandemic, the Supreme Court, the economy, the candidates' records, election integrity, and racial unrest in the country. Fox News anchor Chris Wallace will moderate. The first debate will take place at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. Now, here are a few key election dates to keep in mind. October 13th is the deadline to register to vote in Kansas. Advance in-person voting starts the next day. You can also start mailing or dropping off your ballots on the 14th. October 27th is the deadline to request your mail-in ballot. If you're voting by mail, you need to turn your ballot in at a polling location or make sure it's postmarked before Election Day, which is November 3rd. We have a Fact Finder 12 alert so you don't fall for it. The FBI offices in St. Louis and Kansas City tell us scammers are spoofing the agency's number to try to steal your money. Here's what you need to know. The FBI says scammers are calling people saying their social security number was stolen and used to purchase stocks and open bank accounts. The scammers will then give the person instructions on how to wire money to the FBI for safekeeping. The FBI says it will never call you and ask for personal information or money. If you get a call like this, just hang up. New daylight video from Houston shows just how much rain Beta dumped on the city. Look at this. Cars and trucks stranded on miles of flooded roadways. Let's give you a wider view here. The slow-moving storm dropped more than a foot of rain in some areas. Residents know all too well that city can flood even with just moderate rain. Some people say they had flashbacks to Hurricane Harvey. Remember that? This man ditched his car just in time, but others ignored the warning signs and kept driving. One woman reminds us driving through floodwaters Not smart.
I had a car flooded before some years ago, and I learned from that because you never know how deep it is.
Houston's mayor says more than 100 high water rescues were performed. The threat of a government shutdown has diminished somewhat. An agreement on Capitol Hill gives lawmakers some breathing room for the time being. The next steps in the process.
Expect more from KWCH 12. This is Eyewitness News This Morning. Online at kwch.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
The U.S. House approves a short-term deal spending bill, hoping to avoid a government shutdown at the end of the month. The bill extends current government funding levels until December 11th. The bill also includes billions of dollars in aid for farmers and ranchers and funding for nutrition assistance programs.
House Democrats are going to continue to fight for a relief package that supports moms without childcare, families without food, and workers without hope.
The Senate is expected to vote on the bill later this week. If approved, the bill will head to the White House for President Trump's signature. Your state of mind is the focal point of a newly passed bill in the U.S. House. The goal of National Suicide Hotline Designation Act is to give you access to immediate mental health support. The Senate passed the bill in May, so now it heads to the president's desk for a signature. The bill designates the phone number 988 as the National Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Crisis Hotline. Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas was an original co-sponsor of the bill. But you need to know the FCC will not have 988 rolled out nationwide until the year 2022 at the latest. Until then, you can continue to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline if you need help. We've put that number on your screen. It's 800-273-8255. All eyes are on Louisville this morning as the city braces for a decision on the charges in the Breonna Taylor case. She's the EMT who police shot and killed in her home during a no-knock search warrant. We're told that grand jury decision could come any day now. Take a look at downtown Louisville right now. Concrete barricades are set up to restrict access. Federal buildings are boarded up and closed for the remainder of the week. This is all in anticipation of the decision by prosecutors whether to charge the officers who fired their weapons. At least 3 officers could face charges. So far, only 1 has been fired. Taylor's death sparked nationwide protests, and now police are pleading with the public to remain calm.
Our intention is merely to ensure public safety, to help protect people, help protect businesses, and help prevent property damage. In the community, we've all heard the rumors. We all know something is coming. We don't know what it is. It's unknown to all of us. And quite frankly, we hope that all of this is simply not needed, that it will be a peaceful situation.
Just last week, the city of Louisville settled a wrongful death lawsuit with Taylor's family for $12 million. You won't be able to buy Palmetto cheese at Costco for the time being because it was pulled from store shelves. Listen to why. The owner of the company that makes the cheese called Black Lives Matter a terror organization. Brian Henry recently went on Facebook to vent about a killing in Georgetown, South Carolina. Henry wrote, quote, 2 innocent people murdered, not 2 thugs or people wanted on multiple warrants. 2 white people defenselessly gunned down by a black man. He went on to say, so why do we stand by and allow BLM to lawlessly destroy great American cities and threaten their citizens on a daily basis? This BLM and Antifa movement must be treated like the terror organizations they are. Henry deleted the post and apologized. Hey, we want to keep this in front of you. Be careful as you head out the door this morning. You're going to need a little bit of extra time getting where you need to go. It's foggy, visibility only about a quarter of a mile. Jake's got details on when this is going to lift and what you can expect after that in your Storm Team 12 forecast. We have a follow-up to a story that makes us Kansas proud. Yesterday on Eyewitness News This Morning, we shared this story with you. It's about a Heights High School football player who helped a woman out of her car after a crash and even directed traffic until police arrived. Well, Ellen Terhune got the chance to speak to James Lynn about his good deeds.